Hi, so I'm going to present my design project from last semester where we were designing an apartment building in Paris. So my site was located in northern Paris in a residential area of Belleville. The site was on the original public garden named Jardin Emmy Pickler, which was a relatively small area backed onto a semi-derelict garage and the site of an existing apartment block. The street scene interested me. Opposite our chosen site was another smaller green space, which I chose to utilise, connecting the two sites in my proposal and integrating the street within the building form. My design of a prison apartment building provides a supported residence for elderly locals with integrated care accommodation and shared green spaces across a pedestrianised street garden. This proposal was created to house my client, an elderly vulnerable couple where social isolation and lack of public external space was a key issue in their everyday lives. This scheme allowed for an often isolated group of society to become socially involved within the local community through a shared and connected spaces, providing wider public benefit through the deep connection to the urban fabric, as well as access to amenities within the same building. The threshold between public and private spaces were therefore very important. I ensured multiple crossovers between public boundaries to maximise social integration across generations. Yeah.
You've got the clicker. There we go. Fantastic.
Exactly. There we go. The surrounding area of the site presented a wide range of materiality. This gave me a breadth of choice whilst considering the most suitable and sustainable materials. My apartment building consists of a round earth ground floor and a service court with a timber frame structure above. My material strategy references the historic vocabulary of Paris whilst providing a sustainable alternative to traditional stone buildings. The proposal is not seeking to be a radical alternative to the vernacular materiality of Paris, but rather a subtle movement towards a more environmentally aware scheme. The solidarity of the round earth reflects the traditional masonry of many prison buildings, along with the glazing of the retail space on the ground floor, allows for aspect of permeability and aids in blending the boundaries between public and private spaces. The specific placement of the round earth on the ground floor and the core allows for a feeling of natural extrusion from the ground, emphasising its stereotomic nature. Above sits a more lightweight timber frame structure with timber cladding making up the envelope of the apartments, creating a clear separation between the retail space on the ground floor and the apartments above. Further research into the lifespan of materials allowed for a deeper understanding of the embodied carbon for the whole process from raw materials to deconstruction. Unlike alternative building materials such as concrete, round earth and timber are comparatively less carbon extensive and can provide similar strength qualities. They foster a sustainable building approach and can add aesthetic value to the area. Additionally, the use of materials with high thermal mass allows for efficient regulation of heat. Working, yeah. Responding to the urban grain of the site was extremely important as well. The elements of history of the site influenced much of the final outcome of my design. I was particularly interested in the possibility for a connection to the public park, which has a significant open green space lying only 200 metres southeast of the site. I experimented with carving possible routes and connections through the form of the design of my apartment block to this park. The connection gave me an opportunity to create a considered and designed street garden. The street garden, which lies on the former street of Rue Oliver Metre, which cuts between the two site blocks. Informed by the history of the site, I wanted to take back the road to its former self, as until 1934, the road never existed. Currently, it's a single-way street. However, through this mapping exercise, I developed a way in which the street could be taken back, which would allow me to expand my site boundaries and connect two green spaces across the city. Implications such as the redirection of traffic was a simple exercise of creating a wider route around the expanded block. Overall, this connection not only joins green spaces together, creating a hive of biodiversity, but also creates space for much needed social interaction.
My name is Rosie and I study at the University of Dundee. And my presentation considers a carpentry school in Dalkeith Country Park, which is located just outside of Edinburgh. The park contains some existing facilities on the east side, including a restoration yard and Go Ape. But where my site is located is mainly forest paths and field sites. The brief was to design a carpentry school with public spaces such as an exhibition and cafe. And so when I was deciding on the layout for the building, I really wanted to have a range of integrated spaces, interior and exterior. So on the left side, you can see the main focus of the carpentry school, with the process kind of flowing right through to the exhibition where the public are welcomed in, and then the right building where it's more public focused. Taking a kind of fabric first approach, the north facade has very little glazing and much more insulation, which allowed me to open up the south facade and really utilize that for solar gain, but also this connection with the landscape, allowing the public to also have an interaction with the carpentry process itself. When I was looking at materials and designing the building, part of our brief was that we had to use the timber structure, but I wanted to take this further, with the use of it being a carpentry school, really celebrating that and having an exposed timber portal frame that could kind of show the students a good example of carpentry itself. Oh, sorry. Operation was also something that I was wanting to look at after the building was kind of finished, how it operated. And so I found an example in Edinburgh in Stockton Park where they used an Archimedes screw turbine to power the buildings on site. And because of the River Esk flowing through the Dalkeith Country Park, I saw this as a really great opportunity. So I worked on calculations using the weir height and flow rate in the river to estimate the kind of power that it would be able to generate for the building, and then also the power demand the building would need in itself, with the addition of a heat pump as well. I didn't want to just focus on kind of external sources, so I was looking at passive first approaches as well, which you can see in the top left corner, considering how to kind of maximize solar gain in the winter, but also minimize it in the summer with this overhanging roof, and also having clear story lighting on the north facade, which could then be used for cross ventilation when opened. Yeah. I didn't just want to focus on the kind of building itself, and so I was considering this wider site strategy by implementing a boardwalk into the park as well, that would take the public through the wetlands, which are the park's planning on having the fields naturally flood and create this wetland by the river and adjacent to the site. So I thought that this would be a good opportunity to really utilize how the community use the space already and integrate the public with the school itself, kind of creating an educational facility. So yeah, that's the boardwalk that comes right through and past the building. And these are just my final visuals of what the building proposal would look like, and the model that I made as well. So thanks.
Hi, thank you so much for having me, first of all. I'm pretty honoured to be here. So my name's Eliza, I'm from the MAC, and my project is an adaptive reuse proposal for an artist community hub. I worked in it over 5 weeks during my second year. So my aim was to adapt an existing artist studio that was in Forres in the north of Scotland. I was able to visit the site in person and I got the chance to chat to the artists, and we agreed that the original site needed improvement. It was quite dark and cold and just generally uninspiring. The location, however, is quite significant and has great potential. It was sort of a point of conversion with a lot of foot traffic, like a meeting point between the middle of residential areas, a large public park and a high street. It struck me as a great opportunity to create a vibrant community space. So this is what I came up with. By expanding the studio areas, enhancing the courtyard and creating a vegetable garden, I can improve the site for the artists. I would also draw in the public by adding new areas, including a cafe, an exhibition space, and a covered market area. The artists could sell their work here, which would not only support them, but also boost the local economy. So I kept the concrete structures of the original buildings. Like, I know that concrete is not the most sustainable material. However, it is very long lasting, and I wanted to prevent the waste and CO2 emissions that come from demolition. So I just decided to stick with what we had. For this reason, the new additions had to be more environmentally friendly. So I chose CLT as my main structural material. This is because it's durable, energy efficient, and a renewable resource. Of course, it does still produce CO2, so I incorporated the biomaterial mycelium to help mitigate this. Mycelium is still in the very early stages of development as a building material. For those of you that don't know, it's sort of like the root system of mushrooms and fungi, and it's something that I've been fascinated by since first year. It's a carbon negative material, which means it actually absorbs more carbon than it emits. It's also fire resistant, a great insulator, and can be grown in just a few weeks using agricultural waste. And I even grew some in my flat myself to show how easy it is to do. So here's some that I made earlier. Also, my models are outside, and there's examples of some of the mycelium that I grew in those as well, if you want to have a look at them later. So due to its limited structural strength, I primarily use it as an insulator for my new buildings and also to insulate the existing concrete. But I also incorporated it into the various facade elements throughout the building to maximize its carbon negative properties. The only problem is that being biodegradable, it will eventually degrade over time when exposed to the elements. So my solution to this was to use modular facade panels that can be easily replaced when needed. Given how easy it is to grow, I incorporated mycelium growing beds into the vegetable garden, which would allow the panels to be produced on site, which would help remove the emissions released from transportation. This would create a regenerative and self-sufficient system. So in the interest of sustainability and user comfort, I also implemented various climate control strategies. I carefully considered window placement to optimize winter solar gain. The covered market area would also provide shade in the summertime. The large window in the exhibition area is southeast facing, which maximizes natural light and reduces the need for artificial lighting. Additionally, the placement of the courtyard garden causes natural convection currents, which promote ventilation and improve airflow. By functioning as a microclimate, the courtyard enhances the air quality of the entire building. So at its core, my proposal brings together sustainable design and innovative materials to create a space that's functional for the artists and welcoming for the community. Through the collaborative studios, access to nature, and public gathering spaces, my building becomes a centre for creativity and connection. Although it was short, I did really enjoy this project and learning about how sustainability goes beyond materials, but also involves prioritising the well-being and comfort of the user to ensure the longevity of the space. I'd really love to continue exploring mycelium and how we can make it a more viable building material to help reduce the carbon footprint of the UK built environment and hopefully create more sustainable spaces. Thank you for listening.
Hello, my name's Flora and I'm from the University of Strathclyde. Thank you for your attention in advance and I hope you enjoy. So this project is situated in St Andrews and it is the retrofit of an existing boathouse to a 14-storey milk tower, creating a space where the public can interact with one another whilst dining on a simple glass of milk. The concept communicates the different experiences that you can have with milk. And the main narrative of the design is how the building can take you from birth to the universe using the architecture. Milk can be enjoyed both cold and hot, and the language of the building replicates this. The initial floors are meant to be fast-moving, dark and cold spaces, and this illustrates the rawness and agricultural association to the origins of milk. And in the same way, the structure and the ducts of the ventilation and the systems are exposed, again, relating to that kind of shed-like exposed and industrial process to creating milk. As you're born into the building, you are instantly herded up
the vertical circulation and exposed to the hanging processed fats from the roof, and a live cow, allowing human interaction with the substance that you dine on. As the building progresses, the interactions begin to slow and wind down, and the spaces become warmer and brighter as the daylight gradually infiltrates the structure more. The fenestrations become larger and it becomes lighter spaces, and this section of the building is communicating the luxuriousness of milk, and it allows the users to wind down and relax. The spaces facilitate areas for women to breastfeed, a milk spa for the public to bathe in milk like Cleopatra, and ascending to the top is the stargazing observatory, taking you right up to the Milky Way. The building's thermal efficiency is maximized by sectioning the building in half. By keeping the cold spaces together, it means that an overall temperature can be regulated on the lower floors and warmer air comfort can be maintained for the upper half of the building. This is achieved by using an MVHR system, moving the necessary heat to various sections of the building, and this way a precise air temperature can be carefully tailored and controlled for the users. The implementation of on-site renewables aims for the building to be self-sufficient and travelling towards the net zero target. By introducing air source heat pumps and PV panels, allows natural resources around the site to be used effectively. I felt this was necessary because of the size and scale of the building. It is quite a statement going from a boathouse and extending up to a skyscraper, but my justification is that milk helps you grow big and strong, therefore my structure must be big and strong. And in context, it relates to the St. Rule's Tower in St. Andrews. So it's another beacon for the public to come and use and drink milk in a healthy manner. I think milk is hugely inaccessible in this day and age. And so my building was a way to educate people whilst dining on something that is nutritional for them. Improving the building fabric is another important factor to this design. Retrofitting the existing building with better internal linings heavily improves the thermal comfort and health to the users. And by reusing elements deconstructed from the existing building, reduces overall waste and energy consumption. By maintaining a continuous line of insulation, results in less overall drafts and energy loss. The new build element is constructed out of CLT, a suitable large-scale building material and healthier alternative to concrete or steel. By using timber as the main structural element, allows for carbon sequestration to take place in the timber and be retained and locked in the CLT, so it's having a negative impact on its surroundings. The exterior cladding is made from recycled milk cartons, and it's an effective and sustainable way to reuse waste and enhancing the narrative that the Milky Way is literally made out of milk. The Tetra Pak is an experimental material that has initiatives going on in Thailand. And the way that this works is they're working alongside schools to recycle milk cartons that are used at break times. They're then extracting the paper pulp, which is put back to be used for toilet rolls and cardboard. And they're extracting the polyethylene and the aluminium to then make building materials that are being used in crisis situations to make roof cladding, insulation, and wall cladding as well. I appreciate this dining experience reaches far beyond what is considered conventional and expands the user's perspective to consider where they started and where they're going. It's an interactive discovery to dine on all things milk. And it's meant to take you from birth to the universe, as mentioned before. There's a nearby play park on site, which means that kids can accessibly run in and grab a glass of cold milk in the lower areas. And for people wanting to dine and relax in the upper spaces, means they can spend a spa day up and staring at the stars. It's an unbothered footprint in terms of the context, because I didn't feel there was needed to be interruption on the land because there was already people using it in a really useful way. So I decided to go up instead. Thank you for listening to my project.
Hello, my name is Lila and I'm from RGU, currently third year, and this is my project from the second semester of my second year. Before getting too far into the design, I want to take you to the history of the site. Located in Tori, where we will be heading later today, Tori used to be a fishing village, the smell of which can still be smelt today. After an oil boom in the 70s, many of the historical sites were transformed into industrial buildings. However, as the oil industry declines today, Tory is getting a second chance at renewal. But it still remains one of the most deprived areas of Scotland. This project was aimed to revitalize the area, which had been abandoned, and give it a new life. Tasked with creating a social housing concept, I plan to create a space envisioning social and environmental sustainability using a blend of public, semi-public, and private spaces that promote interaction, safety, and a sense of belonging. The form of the structure, I wanted to start off with 3 main blocks, the largest of which has a flat side facing the street, offering a reflection to the existing granite homes while bringing a newer take to the residential area. The other side of the building has a complex, geometric, repetitive design, which allows for a private winter garden for each of the residents. The remaining of the 2 blocks are more simplistic in design, focusing on their individual functions. When looking at the importance of social sustainability, I wanted to focus on 2 main points. The first of which was the organization of the spaces. As previously explained, there are 3 main spaces, one offering solely communal spaces, one solely for private spaces, and one offering a mix of both. The mixed-use building, which can be seen at the very top of the middle plan, features a cafe, a clothes exchange, and rentable spaces encouraging social interaction. As for my second point, it was the green spaces which are offered. There are many public green spaces offered through a secured internal courtyard accessible to the residents. And there are also private spaces which are available through the individualized winter gardens, both of which offer a constant connection to nature and a sense of tranquility. My design solutions for the environmental sustainability portion are highlighted through the passive heating and cooling systems which the private winter gardens offer. The summer cooling system functions using the cross ventilation through the sliding doors of this private garden, while the winter heating system is achieved by heating up an enclosed space and letting it filter into the flats. Finally, the materiality of the building uses a stud frame base with a combination of sprayed hempcrete and hempcrete blocks. I picked hempcrete due to its insulation and moisture regulating properties, as it is also locally available and has preventative measures against mold growth due to its high pH. Hempcrete structures have also shown to gain strength through carbonation, making them durable and long-lasting. As for its sustainability, it is carbon negative and also a fast-growing rotational crop, making it perfect for farming. The sprayed hempcrete was chosen as it prevents thermal bridging, and the blocks help to strengthen the structure while maintaining efficiency during construction. The rest of the makeup of the wall ensures that the exterior remains durable. In my opinion, this project revitalizes the area through an efficient and socially sustainable way while bringing life to an once abandoned site. Thank you.
Just wonderful presentations. Fantastic. I think there's a wonderful demonstration that the students understand the principles of sustainability, but they are also looking beyond that to various social issues. So I think they're all to be congratulated. It's going to be very difficult making a decision. Obviously, I've been studying the schemes in detail, and I've had the help of a panel of advisors So it's not just my decision in the end. But I look forward after lunch. I've now had a chance to see the presentations, so I can think over a very difficult decision. The award to commemorate Christina Johnson was set up in 2003. She was an architect and a tutor at both Strathclyde and the Macintosh School in Glasgow. As an architect, she worked mainly on upgrading existing buildings, especially Glasgow tenements. I think teaching, she also taught, and the teaching gave her the most satisfaction and enjoyment. So it seemed appropriate to commemorate her memory with a student prize. She was a founding member of SEDA in 1991. Her concern with climate change arose from her wartime experience of living through the Nazi occupation of Warsaw in extreme deprivation, danger, shortages of food, fuel, clothes, everything. Things had to be conserved and repaired rather than replaced. So the principles of conservation and reuse were embedded long before the climate emergency became a major topic. The format of the award has been developed over the years. It started as a travel award, but is now aimed now at encouraging students at the beginning of their course to get involved in sustainable design. And the hope of SEDA was that would have a knock-on effect in the sense that the syllabus of the schools would reflect this as well, because I think there was a feeling that not all schools were realizing or taking teaching in the kind of correct way. The students' work over the last few years seems to have got better and better. The complexity of the projects and their sophistication in second year are quite stunning to me. I mean, a long time ago, I used to teach in second year, and the scope and size and complexity of the project is far advanced. So we've got for you, I'll just go briefly a few comments about each of the schemes you've seen this morning presented. So far as Paris, there's the scheme in Paris. We thought the green reintroduction of the green space as a piece of urban design was very, very, very interesting. The carpentry school, we thought was could be a lovely building, or would be a lovely building. And the alternative energy from the river was very interesting. The arts community in Forres, we praised because it was the use of an existing building, something that the SEDA were very keen on. We were very keen to encourage people to use existing buildings and to adapt them rather than demolish and rebuild. And the exploration of mycelium as a building material was very interesting. We were very impressed that the student had actually made some and grown it, and I think the question mark is how long will the mycelium last as a structure or as an insulating material, but you've taken care of that. The Torre scheme, very interesting, trying to bring back some communal social life into an area which is badly deprived. I like the idea of the kind of greenhouse. Each flat had a large glass enclosure which was used environmentally, but also would be a very pleasant addition to the flat. The milk bar, we thought it was a crazy idea in a sense. Not exactly sustainable or ecological building, but it was extraordinarily thoroughly worked through. Most impressive, the calculations and this kind of thing. All the schemes we felt showed a thorough understanding of the need to build now for the climate emergency. And I think some of the talks earlier this morning added just to that sense of urgency. We felt the students now are showing an understanding of sustainable building, the kind of materials you can use and the kind of detailing. We felt, I'm saying we because I was assisted by a panel of 4 or 5 people, teachers, some ex-prize winners from previous years. So it was a kind of general discussion. And after a great deal of discussion and by a very narrow margin, we felt that the Rosie scheme for the carpentry school should in fact be given the award for this year. So congratulations.
Thank you, Jim. And I can see how difficult the decision for this had been. I'd like to invite Frances, who's the granddaughter of Jim, who also works at Grey Hope Bay. We're about to visit this afternoon to help present the certificates. And there are certificates for the nominees as well. So I suppose, as Nick has briefed me, all the nominees are essentially runners-up to the winner, and they all deserve to be recognised. So we've got certificates that show to all of them. So I have, in no order of preference at all, just how it came out, Flora, and Leela, Eliza, Daisy, and of course our winner, Rosie. So I have yet to write your name on the winner's certificate, so I won't present that one, but well done to all. And would you like to say a couple of words?
Yeah. Hi, everyone. I just wanted to say thank you for you guys' amazing designs. My grandmother, Christina, would have been really impressed to see them all. When she studied at uni, she was, I think, one of only 2 women in her course. So for all 5 finalists to be women, she would be, yeah, incredibly excited about that. So well done.